and welcome to another episode of Kicking It With, where today I'm going to be chopping it up with Carvalho. Hey, Carvalho, how you doing, man?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Happy New
Good.
Year to you.
Happy New Year to you too, sir. So, just to give you some backstory, guys, I was introduced to Carvalho a few years ago, came across his music quite by accident, and I fell in love with it. I even did a little review on some of the music he was producing because it really touched me. And it wasn't like it was just any old music. It wasn't just to be making music. It had a message. And what I found with his music, he always has something to say. Now, it may be something a little political, or it may be something just, that he's been thinking about. So his last album that I listened to was called Watermelon Smiles, which definitely had a message. Carvalho, talk to me about Watermelon Smiles before we get into your new stuff, man.
Oh,
What provoked you to come up with that title, first of all, and what drove the songs that are on that album?
yeah. What inspired the title was at the time Boris Johnson was in power, and
Yeah.
he'd used the term watermelon smiles. However, there was some other like MPs and Conservative MPs who also, I think one of them mentioned the M word in a woodpile, and that's one of
That's
the
right.
title,
That's right.
one of the tracks on the album. So basically, that album, in terms of the themes, in part was inspired by what was going on at that time.
Yeah.
Um, it's interesting because I mean, when all that was happening, I mean, nothing really. I mean, a few people were up in arms in the media, but as far as I remember at that time, there wasn't really. It was yeah, it was swept under the carpet in
It
my
was.
from my view.
It absolutely was. It didn't get the
And really,
airtime that I thought it would.
no, it didn't. And and as used like the N word in a woodpile. I did my little research into the background behind. Obviously, I know I'm aware of the M word, but the other in a woodpile,
Mm,
means as black people or African people, we're running scared.
yeah,
We're hiding, we're hiding in wood piles and stuff.
absolutely.
Hence that. Um, yeah, that's it really. With
Yeah.
with regard to watermelon smiles. I mean, I tried to balance it out with some love songs as well.
Yes, you did. You did.
Yeah, so more to the tail end of the album. Yeah, it was a lot. It was a lot. It was a lot,
It was a
to
lot. How
say the
long
least.
did it take you to complete that album from start to finish? Because we kind of know when it started, back when Boris Johnson started his
Yeah,
foolishness.
gosh, wow. I reckon probably about 8 months for that album. And I think as well, because sometimes I have the habit of just writing and writing and writing,
Hmm.
and I ended up kind of like, I think it was like selection from about 30 tracks. I think there's 13 tracks on that album, if I remember correctly.
Hmm.
But it was selection of 30 written tracks down to that 13. That's always like a lot of the way that I write. That's my process. It's like a write in bulk, and
Yeah.
then have a critical ear on what's going to make the final kind of like 12 or 10 tracks. If
Yeah.
it is I'd say between more 10 and 13, but I'm getting less now because I'm trying to really focus on my quality and the consistency as well. I think that's important. Yeah, but that's it really. That's it.
Okay. Cool. Um, so that album was an amazing album. Do you do all of your production work, or do you collaborate with people, or?
I'm trying to remember with on Watermelon Smiles, I don't recall any collaborations. That was just all written by myself. On the last album, which was Apocalyptic Sun, there was a couple of collaborations. I had a saxophone player,
Mhm.
Sam Adu, who's based in the States. He's played with quite a few artists, but I got to know him through Steel Pulse,
Okay.
who was from Birmingham.
One of my favorite
Um,
groups, Steel Pulse.
yeah, well, mine too. Mine too. Very good friends of mine as well. So I contacted him. because he was playing with Still Pulse at the time. I believe he's playing with kind of like a pop band at the minute. He's touring with them, but he's an excellent jazz player,
Hmm.
jazz saxophonist, and he did a really good job on the track that I asked him to play on. But as a whole, I would say, in terms of collaborations, especially on the new one, Apocalyptic Sun, there's no collaborations besides the one that I just mentioned. So sun meaning as in family member, and sun as in nature, as sun in the sky, just to clarify. Yeah.
Yeah, because I wanted to get
Yeah.
into that because, like I
Yeah.
said, your music
Me
always has
too.
a message or a theme to it. You don't just make
Yeah.
music and throw it out. So,
Okay.
Apocalyptic Sun,
Mhm.
what are you actually getting to with that? And we understand what you mean by a sun, but your meaning is a little deeper than that. So, talk to me about the title Apocalyptic Sun.
Right, which one are we talking about? The sun or the sun in the sky?
Well,
Which one?
the title track is SUN, Apocalyptic Sun.
Yeah. Which one are we talking? Which one? Oh, the top,
Yeah,
the most latest one, or
yes, the
yeah, the
most
latest,
latest, yeah, the
one.
most recent one, yeah.
Okay, no worries. So really, it's basically to do with, I think, how can I answer this to to make to make it be clear, because there are a couple. Well, there's different meanings, right? The meaning for me is that as human beings, we're only here for a short period of time. And I
Absolutely.
think some of us are quite arrogant in terms of obviously, how we treat each other and how we treat where we live in terms of the land, and so forth, basically nature. And as I said, we're only here for a time. So therefore, the nature is a gift for
Hmm.
us to look after. And
Hmm.
basically, what I'm saying in the apocalyptic sun, whether if we're here or not, the sun, nature will still be here, as we know. We're only here for a period of time, so we should look after the earth. That comes clearer in, I think it's track 9 or 10, Nature's Call.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Track
well,
10.
basically, yeah, I think, I mean, there's a line in it where I say solar powered snow. Where is it actually heading? Are we going to be powering at the snow? Do you know what I
Hmm.
mean? Because
Yeah.
everything is so, dare I use the word, fake
Hmm.
in some parts. And you hear about the weather being controlled by certain governments and so forth.
Hmm.
Chemtrails, and um, kind of like almost controlling how earthquakes happen in certain parts of the world. Because I heard recently, I think it's not far from Haiti, there was some tremors in that region.
Hmm.
But a lot of the tremors were brought on because I believe an oil company was searching for oil,
Hmm.
and they affected the earth plates.
Okay.
Hence, triggering, some, like, or not, I wouldn't call it a disaster, but it's almost like it's as if, because man is constantly in search of things or resources, they don't realize the potential damage that it can do to the
Hmm.
inhabitants,
Yeah.
both
Absolutely.
animals and human beings alike.
Absolutely.
So yeah,
Yeah. Humans pretty much are the most destructive being on this planet,
yeah,
without a doubt.
yeah,
We're quite successful at doing that. We're very good at destroying things.
yeah.
You've got so I've been listening to this track, this album for a couple of days,
Mhm,
and some of the tracks just kind of resonate with me. In
mhm.
particular, where you from? Um, that that really touched me. I dug that.
The
Um,
one with the least words. Yeah, nah, but it says a lot.
yeah,
It
saying a
says a
lot.
lot.
It
Yeah,
says a
yeah,
lot. I
yeah,
mean,
yeah,
it really goes to the core of where we're from. You know,
yeah,
so
yeah.
that really stuck to me. "Ode to My Brother" was another great track.
Oh,
Uh,
thank you.
is there any specific sentiment behind "Ode to My Brother"?
Oh, you're asking some serious questions there.
That's what I
Oh, to
do.
my brother is, oh man, it's really funny because, I mean, I must add, before I attempt to answer that question, that was one of the last tracks that I
Mhm.
wrote for the album. The album was ready to go, and then I started to jam this vibe, and I was playing it to various people
Mhm.
in the studio and stuff. And then, I've said, I'm not sure if this is going to go on the album. I'm just going to finish it and see how it turns out. And
Mhm.
obviously, it ended up on the album. Anyway, back to your question. Um, Ode to My Brother, and oh man, the levels. When the oppressed becomes the oppressor.
Mhm.
Uh, what can I say? It takes on at the minute, as you can, we're in. There's wars going on. One in particular, as we know, which is Palestine, and not even just that. We can look at it in the context of, in terms of how some of us as African people or Black people who live in our areas, we terrorize each other.
Yeah.
As we're saying, the oppressed
Mhm.
the oppressor oppressing the oppressed. It's
Mhm.
it's crazy. So there's different levels uh, with that song, but the focus that I looked at was obviously Palestine, and what kind of in terms of being a human being, first and foremost, it's a terrible situation to see human beings treating each other in that manner. However, at the same time, I'm looking at how Black Palestinians are treated in
Mhm.
Palestine. And I look
Right.
at how the Ethiopians, the Falashas, are also treated out there. And
Mhm.
it's kind of like a double-edged sword, because murder's wrong, full stop. But at the same
Absolutely.
time, it's like we're kind of African people are still at the bottom,
Mhm.
even though that is still going on. And hence why I said, I'm not going to forget about Congo. I'm not going to forget about Papua New Guinea. But also, as I said, mentioning the Ethiopian Jews who are out there and
Mhm.
who also have a history of not being treated well. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I wish I was making this up. I don't get any pleasure out of saying it, but the facts are there.
Yeah.
Um, it is. I don't like saying it is what it is, because it could be different if we
Yeah.
wanted it
It
to be
could be.
different.
It could be. And it
So
should be, as a matter of fact.
yeah, definitely,
Yeah.
definitely. But yeah, that's the long and short of Ode to My Brother.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
So this album is your most recent album.
Hmm.
And just listening to you talk about your process, you probably have 30 songs that you chose from for
Yeah.
Watermelon Smiles. Probably has something similar. What do you do with those tracks that don't make the album? Do you just archive them and maybe come back to them later on, or what happens with those?
Yeah, there's some tracks that aren't um that I finish. I always try and finish everything and make a decision
Mm,
at the end when it comes to the final selection. Some tracks might make another project, because some tracks have inspired that didn't make this album, have
mhm.
inspired another project while I was doing Apocalyptic Sun, the
Okay.
latest album. And I've got another project that I'm in the process of finishing off now, called Closer to Home.
Mhm.
Um, I've sent you the promo as
Yeah.
well that
Yeah.
I've yeah, that is going to be on this Closer to Home project. I mean, I'm fortunate in that sense that I write a lot, and that things can be used later on
Yeah.
uh, for another project. And I mean, there are some new tracks I am going to add to it at the same time, because, as I said, I never stop writing. And the reason why I never stop writing as well is because it's almost like it's going to the gym for
Mhm.
me, because you have to exercise that muscle in order
Yeah.
to improve. And I don't really like saying this. I can't speak for all musicians, but a lot of musicians don't exercise their muscle, in my opinion,
That's true.
in the way that they should, in order to get that consistency.
Yeah.
And I'm getting there. I know I'm getting there, because it's getting. And I don't say that in a conceited way,
Mhm.
um, because it's easy, because I understand it better, and I'm plus my time. I've got more time as well to relax, in
Mhm.
terms of being able to develop and bring the ideas into fruition.
Mhm.
But yeah, yeah, close to home, you'll love that. You'll love this project. You
Well,
probably won't be expecting, because I'm surprised myself what it entails. But it's again, it's not going to be straightforward.
Mhm.
But yeah, that's all I'm going to say on saying to it. Well, what I'll do, I mean, I've
Yeah.
sent you one track through.
Mhm.
I will send some
Okay.
others through. You know
Okay.
what I mean? See how you feel and stuff about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we can set up another interview later once you're ready to release that.
Yeah, most appreciate it, man. Appreciate it most definitely.
Absolutely, because I'm a fan. I enjoy your music. I think you got something
Yeah.
really special with
Thank you. Thank
your
you.
production work and definitely with your storytelling. So
Yeah, thank you,
the
man.
lyrics are
Thank you.
really inspiring.
Hmm.
So tell people about your social so they can start to follow you and support you on social media and
Yeah.
support your music.
So okay. So Facebook, my fan page, which is basically just facebook.com/Carvalho. Instagram is slightly different. It's the name of my label, which is Versify Music. Instagram, whatever it is, at versifymusic.com.
Hmm.
You can also get me on there because I've got two sites on Instagram. Robert Carvalho UK Instagram as well.
Okay.
Twitter, it's again different. Basehead Dread on Twitter.
Mhm.
Um, Not on TikTok or anything as yet, but I will eventually look into that
Yeah.
and see, because I know like there's a lot of musicians whose music that is licensed
Yeah.
on there and stuff. So that's an area I do need to cover.
Absolutely.
And maybe some other kind of like social medias as well. But
Yeah.
music comes first for me, even though
Absolutely.
obviously this is important.
Carvalho, do you have a Bandcamp page?
Oh yeah, beg your pardon. So it's bandcamp
Yep.
.com/Carvalho. Yeah, and you can, this new like all my music's all available on the usual digital platforms, Spotify, iTunes, Google
Absolutely.
Play, and as you just rightly mentioned, Bandcamp as well.
Yeah. Because what I like
Yeah,
to do is encourage my listeners, my supporters, to go to Bandcamp and buy your stuff for the artists because the artists get a bigger share. It supports them a lot more than
yeah,
streaming music or going to iTunes or there. Go to Bandcamp, support the artist properly because they don't do this for free.
no,
Yeah.
no.
So make sure you get your nickels and dimes together and go and support Carvalho, buy his
Listen to
catalog.
listen to Conrad. He's my manager, really. So don't listen to everything that I've just said previously. That just sums up the whole interview. Thank you very much for that, Conrad.
Absolutely,
I
absolutely.
shall I shall leave now on that note. I'm joking. I'm joking. Wow. No, no. But yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you for that. Thank
no
you for
worries, no
mentioning that.
worries. So people get your nickels and dimes together and make sure you go out
Mm,
and you support Carvalho. He's doing some great stuff. And he also
thank you.
told me that sometime in 2024, he will
Yeah.
start doing some live performances. So keep a lookout for that because
Yeah.
I'm
It's
sure
gonna
that's going to
yeah,
be an
I think
amazing
I
thing.
think sorry to cut you. I think the last time I spoke to you, I said that was my plan then.
Yeah.
But COVID came in, because Watermelon Smiles was just released just before COVID or during COVID.
Hmm.
And I do remember having that plan, but in one sense, things happen for a reason, even though that wasn't a good experience for everyone. It's given me time to think how I want to approach
Okay.
the live situation. It's going to be wicked, Conrad.
Oh,
I'm
I
telling
can
you that.
imagine.
I'm telling you that now. People are gonna. It's gonna make. And I'm not saying again. I'm not saying this in a competitive way, but the ideas that I have, in terms of using, because the songs take you on a journey,
Hmm.
and obviously the music will take you on that journey. But there's going to be other things to make sure that you are engaged.
Okay.
Do you understand what I'm saying? It's not just going to be a live band, and it's not going to be a strip show either. But but it's going to be, put it this way, because I'm quite arty,
Yeah.
so that's going to come through as well. And I don't see that a lot especially with a lot of musicians. Period. I don't see that. I know. I think the band Salt.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. They were just.
they, yeah, they. I really like what he's doing.
Yeah.
I think it's Inflo who's the producer, and I really like his ideas, and I like how he's approaching the music. And
Hmm.
it's a shame because I think that's what we need. The production side of it, the live production. It's not
That's
quite there
exactly
yet.
right. Yeah. I think we kind of lost
But
it because it used to be part of, the way I look at artists used to put on a show. They
yeah,
wouldn't just stand up and sing. They would
yeah,
put on a
yeah,
show. I
yeah,
think
yeah,
that's starting to work its way back, which is a
yeah,
fantastic thing,
yeah.
because that's what I think we
Definitely,
were missing, a show.
definitely, definitely. Yeah, definitely. I think it's important to keep the audience engaged. Yeah, but I'm not going to say anymore because I could talk myself out. So I'm not going to jinx it. But yeah, I'm going to get this project finished, and I'm definitely staying in touch and keep you up to
Absolutely.
speed.
Cool.
So
Well, look,
yeah,
Carvalho, thank you for spending time with us here on Grown Folks Grooves, kicking it with me and bringing us up to date on what you've been up to and what we can look out for in the future. Thank you, my man.
no, you're welcome, and good luck.
Bless.
Goodbye.